Hey everyone, it's Clay here. If you haven't seen the nuclear strike confirmations video, I'll put a link for it right here. You can click. I know it's really long, but that's because there was just so many confirmations. And this is going to be a follow-up to that from stuff that people have sent in, you know, dreams and different kinds of confirmations, different movies that the Lord's showing them and TV shows. It seems like it just keeps coming on and on. And a recent connection I had made with the 2008 film The Dark Knight, you know, The Dark Knight Rises is out right now, and that's got, spoiler alert by the way, don't listen, pause. The Dark Knight Rises ends with him stopping a nuclear detonation in Gotham City, and they build a statue to them. I'm going to show you another film, a children's movie that has this exact same concept in it about a nuclear device, and you're going to be shocked when you see this. It's incredible. This was a huge confirmation, and I'll tell the story as it goes as we're watching the clips. There's also a picture of the Dark Knight and its connections with the Reichstag burning, which was the false flag event that Hitler used, which enabled him to pass the Enabling Act, which was equivalent to our Patriot Act that Bush signed in 2001. And ever since then, it's been really a world without rules, and it's been anything that they want to do, they can do. Whatever wars they want to start, it doesn't matter. We don't question them anymore because it's all in the name of protecting the homeland. It's all fighting this nebulous terrorism. Yeah. And they're keeping the propaganda going with this really popular show out right now called Homeland. And if you notice in the intro to Homeland, you see all these presidents talking about how terrorism's bad and all this. And the first time you see President Obama talking about it, he's upside down. I just now noticed that. I just started watching this show. It's a good show if you're asleep, but when you understand that the war on terror is completely fabricated, and they tell you these dramatic stories and all this stuff to keep that hook in your mouth, thinking that, oh, let the government do whatever they got to do. Oh, indefinite detention. Oh, that's good. Well, I told a friend of mine that they had passed this NDAA at the beginning of 2012, and I described to him the bill. He was like, good. I was like, good? No, it does this to the Bill of Rights. They can just think you're a terrorist because you pay for coffee with change and you have a Bible in your backpack. You're a terrorist now, and you're gone. But we know the Lord will protect us, and even though it says in the Bible that even if we do get locked up, to never deny His name, and He'll take care of us, and He'll put the words in our mouth. If they put us in front of courts, we have nothing to fear. So let's go take a look at all this awesome stuff, all these awesome confirmations. It's only awesome because it's supernatural, and it's reassuring to know that we can be saved from this destruction that's coming. The not awesome part is knowing what all of these confirmations actually mean, and that what is actually coming, and how real this event is going to be, and how terrifying it's going to be. So this video, for those who haven't seen it, it captures all the confirmations that came in a really short window, 48 to 72 hours after the Lord spoke with Jonathan and I while we were praying, that the same experience he and Kajani had at Sackcloth and Ashes about a missile hitting the United States, followed by the Harpazo, the catching away. He would reveal this to servants all over the world. And within a 72-hour window, 12 to 15 different people had dreams, visions, words, all kinds of crazy stuff happened to them, unique confirmations from 30 years ago taking place. It was just insane. You've got to watch this video. But after you watch that and you see what else has happened, it just keeps happening. We had these other confirmations, missiles come down, we go up, with Rick Wiles' interview we had, and then brother Constantine, his name is Ed, had that dream about the wars all taking place around the election, and then the nuclear missiles happening. Furthermore, there was the Rosh Hashanah recipe confirmation, and just more stuff. I'll put the images here. But this one, Jonathan's youngest son wanted to watch a movie, and Jonathan had to go out of town, and he never wants to watch movies, rarely. He always wants to play video games, Nintendo or Xbox or computer. So I'm like, okay, and we had recently, acquired a few DVDs to watch, a few movies to watch, and so I let him choose. And he chose The Iron Giant, which came out in 1999. So just take a listen to this clip. This was near the beginning of the movie.
Stay-at-home kind of day in a town very much like your own. But then, suddenly, without without warning. Atomic holocaust! But how does one survive an atomic attack?
Yeah, so much like your town, much like any day today, all of a sudden, nuclear holocaust, atomic holocaust. Trinity knows what's going on, and we just looked at each other, we're like, what? And this kid is 9 years old, so he even understood how odd this was in this movie. And this movie also hints at 9/11. I mean, this thing was in 1999. We all know what 9/11 was, and I'll put some images in here just for those that don't believe that a government could actually do this to its own people. You need to understand that they did, and that they did this in Nazi Germany, and they're doing it again now, and history is going to repeat itself, and if we're not aware, then you're going to fall for it. Here he is taking a bite out of the Twin Towers. I mean, look at that. This was in 1999. That's a weird picture for a kid to be drawing. Anyways, so this is what's happening at the end of the film. So I explained to Jonathan in the beginning, I wanted to show it to him. He was like, let's just watch the end of it. I didn't get to show him that first clip. And so we're watching this. This is where he came in watching it when he got back in town. He starts watching the robot going crazy. And let's just watch him.
Nothing can stop this thing. We've hit it with everything we've got.
Not everything, General. The bomb. The Nautilus has first strike capability and is not far offshore.
You scared me, Mansley. You want us to bomb ourselves in order to kill it?
So we're gonna bomb ourselves. So we're like, what? And then it shows this submarine, and we're like, Nautilus is offshore. What? Oddly enough, we were talking about a video game that Trinity had bought, a World War II airplane shooter, and we were like, I wonder if there'd be I wonder if submarines had the capability to launch nuclear missiles back then. What if we saw that in the video game? That'd be crazy. And then this movie comes on and shows us the exact same era, you know, post-World War II, nuclear-capable submarines. Let's watch the rest of this.
The boy's alive? It's a trick! Launch the missile! Are you mad, Mansley? All units, stand down! Rosart to Nautilus. Come in, Nautilus.
This is Nautilus standing by.
Launch the missile now!
Oh no. The missile. When it comes down, everyone will die.
There are going to be a lot of people that are going to die when these missiles hit. But we know when missiles come down, we go up. Just like the Lord showed Jonathan when he was doing the skydiving. You know, the rocket was launching in the background. He was falling. This time it's going to be the rockets are falling and we're going to be launching to the kingdom. So this is what's similar about this movie with The Dark Knight Rises. The Iron Giant goes up, and he's going to sacrifice himself to stop the nuclear bomb. He even makes a reference to a DC Comics character. He's like, oh, my identity is going to be Superman. Just listen. So here we have this hero who is also viewed as a villain. He's no one, you know, some people trust him, some people don't. A lot like Batman. We're going to get further into the similarities with Batman, who is a DC Comics character. Superman and Batman are the main two. We have this robot saying he's Superman stopping a nuke, and everyone celebrates and they think he's dead. And then we have our nice one-eye symbolism here. Wait, what is this? It's a statue. They build a statue to the one that saves them from the nuke. It's exactly what happens in The Dark Knight Rises. Verbatim. Everyone thinks Batman died to sacrifice, and he goes and you find out later that he's alive. And just like in this, at the very end, it shows that he's actually still alive. Now, what does that mean? What's the importance of these two movies showing some superhero-like person stopping the world from a nuclear world war? we know that the Bible says that they're going to make an image unto the beast and they're going to worship him. Does that necessarily mean they're going to build a statue? Maybe.
Batman!
It's all right, Robin.
Holy heart failure!
Fortunately, I was able to dispose of that bomb in the nick of time.
To understand the significance of the destruction of the Twin Towers, one must first understand the reality of the two different species growing together like twins. The parable of the wheat and the weeds in the book of Matthew illustrates the two different species growing together. The destruction of the Twin Towers was Satan's declaration that the twins were gone and that the two had become one, as evidenced by the building of the One World Trade Center. The One World Trade Center's architecture represented an upside-down seed joined together with the right side up seed, thus forming the new race in one new body, thus representing the forming of the completed human race in the form of a hive controlled by the spirit of Satan. As God himself had taken on human flesh in the form of Jesus Christ, Satan himself would also take on flesh in the second beast, Barack Obama. Through the destruction of the Twin Towers and the tearing down of what once existed, the building of the One World Trade Center would represent Satan's recreation of a temple in which he would sit as the king, the commingling of the serpent seed with the seed of the woman.
Resort, and it's about a rogue army general or whatever, navy general, who decides to launch a nuke on his own country to save the country, according to his logic, and instead of it detonating on land, it detonates in the ocean, and you can see it impact the water specifically, just like on the $10 bill, and just like all these other confirmations that we're getting, like the brother had on the radio show, about it hitting the water, and at that moment time freezes for the bride of Christ and we're snatched out of the way. It hit the water.
Bombers 4 minutes out. We have a good detonation, 200 miles east of Washington.
That distance, no one will be hurt. But I'd say we got their attention.
And, with the whole statue thing, the Bible, it talks about making this image unto the beast, and with the revelations that Jonathan's received about Akhenaten being the first beast, and the second beast being Barack Obama.
So I said, you got to show me that Barack Obama's the Antichrist when I open up this book. However you do it, Lord, whatever. So let me read you what it says. So I said, if you don't open this book right now, Lord, and it doesn't say, prove to me that he's the Antichrist, I'm not loading up the video, Clan, I just did. Because I got to be sure. I can't risk my kids, come on. So here's what it says. It says, Satan, the devil, Lucifer, the demon, the fiend, the foul fiend, the archfiend, the wicked one, the evil spirit, the tempter, the adversary, the common enemy, the old enemy, the devil incarnate. There it is, the devil incarnate. Well, that would be him. All these others, you know, the father of lies, the author of lies, the father of lies, the serpent, the old serpent, the devil, the prince of darkness, the prince of darkness, the prince of devils, the prince of this world, the prince of the power of the air. There you go. You'll see it when you freeze frame. Just freeze frame. Ready? The angel of the bottomless pit. Yeah. You know, whatever. So ready? So that was the page. I said if I don't open.
They've rebuilt it. They've rebuilt the image. The thing with the Twin Towers is they are exactly DNA markers. They even have the discolored. They have the discolored darker areas on the tower, just like on this DNA marker. And they tore them down. And it's not an accident that 9/11 happened. It was divinely orchestrated by the Lord, allowing it to happen. But the enemy carried it out, and we know that it was the enemy because they broadcast their plans. It's a part of their religious practices, so to speak, the protocols of the learned elders of Lucifer, and they have to show everything. And so we see it in The Simpsons. You can see here there's a plane hitting a building that is on fire. This is Godzilla from 1998. The clock's pointing to 9/11. These two microphones are oddly held together in Gremlins 2. This was 1990. Terminator, Super Mario Brothers, Iron Giant, all these movies that were before 9/11, especially really close, like 99 and 2000, they started getting really bold with it. They even had a show at the beginning of 2001 called The Lone Gunman, and the first pilot episode was about a rogue terrorist flying an airplane into the Twin Towers, and it turned out the government knew about it and allowed it to happen. This is a picture of the rubble of 9/11, which looks a lot like the Reichstag rubble, and the guy that's posing in the Reichstag rubble looks exactly like Batman in The Dark Knight, which was 2008, and the motto of that movie was "A World Without Rules." I mean, it's the same. He's got his hand on his knee and he's looking down and he's standing in the rubble. And even the bat explosion in the building is shaped exactly like the Twin Towers, the impact zone where the airplane hit. I mean, it's shaped like a wing. And, you know, is this intentional? You know, they redid the bat signal to look all sharp and modern and edgy looking, and it almost lays on top of this impact zone where the airplane hit. It's even got the two little bat things and the pointed wing. It's crazy. And he's standing below the tower, and even at the time people were like, oh, this resembles too much 9/11, but they just didn't really think too much of it. They just thought it was insensitive. But the rubble thing, I mean, that's a dead ringer, guys. That's exactly what it was. That was their victory, was blowing up these two DNA markers, and now they rebuilt the one. And Obama signed it and said, we will rebuild and we will come back stronger. We will triumph, you know, whatever. And he signed it and stuck it in there, the beam in the new building. And ever since the Patriot Act, the executive office has had really tyrannical capabilities. I mean, this is a powerful image that someone posted on our This Is It Facebook page, where Obama has issued 139 executive orders in 3.5 years. All the other presidents from the past 110 years combined have issued 121. He's got all the czars, he's got all his executive orders. He's able to just do whatever he wants to do because he's got the green light. He is the last American president. Look at these images. And even the language that was used in the Patriot Act is exactly what was used to sell it after the Reichstag explosion. This quote who do you think said this? An evil exists that threatens every man, woman, and child of this great nation. We must take steps to ensure our domestic security and protect our homeland. Did George Bush say it? Or did Hitler say it after the Reichstag burning and everyone was just hooting and hollering, yeah, do whatever you gotta do. Kill the terrorists, they burned the Reichstag, it's a real threat. It's a perceived threat. It's a promulgated threat. It's fabricated, it's manufactured, and it's sold and purchased by the public. And everyone thought they were all crazy and they're worshiping the eagle and doing the aisle and the salute. Well, was it any different than what we saw after 9/11 with us worshiping America and not being humbled by it, but being like, oh, we're stronger, oh, let's do whatever we want, yeah, okay, you want to invade Iraq, okay, go ahead, whatever, kill the terrorists, America's the best. We just followed it blindly, and even though the left-wing liberal stuff, they were saying that it was wrong, they didn't really get how wrong it was. Just listen to this general talking about 10 days after 9/11 what was on the Pentagon memos, what was getting passed around, and he didn't want anything to do with it because he saw how evil and just audacious it was. You know, hegemonistic, whatever the word is. It's Team America World Police got it right in that farce they did about how we think we can do anything we want.
About 10 days after 9/11, I went through the Pentagon and I saw Secretary Rumsfeld and Deputy Secretary Wolfowitz. I went downstairs just to say hello to some of the people on the Joint Staff who used to work for me, and one of the generals called me and he said, "Sir, you gotta come in. You gotta come in and talk to me a second." I said, "Well, you're too busy." He said, "No." He says, "We've made the decision. We're going to war with Iraq." This was on or about the 20th of September. I said, "We're going to war with Iraq. Why?" He said, "I don't know." He said, "I guess they don't know what else to do." So I said, "Well, did they find some information connecting Saddam to Al-Qaeda?" He said, No. He says, "There's nothing new that way. They've just made the decision to go to war with Iraq." He said, "I guess it's like we don't know what to do about terrorists, but we've got a good military and we can take down governments." And he said, "I guess if the only tool you have is a hammer, every problem has to look like a nail." So I came back to see him a few weeks later, and by that time we were bombing in Afghanistan. I said, "Are we still going to war with Iraq?" And he said, "Oh, it's worse than that." He said, he reached over on his desk, he picked up a piece of paper, and he said, I just got this down from upstairs," meaning the Secretary of Defense's office today, and he said, "This is a memo that describes how we're going to take out 7 countries in 5 years, starting with Iraq and then Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and finishing off Iran." The truth is about the Middle East is, had there been no oil there, it would be like Africa. Nobody is threatening to intervene in Africa. One thing we did learn, he said, we learned that we can use our military in the region, in the Middle East, and the Soviets won't stop us. He said, and we've got about 5 or 10 years to clean up those old Soviet client regimes. Syria, Iran, Iraq, before the next great superpower comes on to challenge us. Before the next great superpower comes on to challenge us. I've been training troops. I haven't been thinking geostrategy for some time. And suddenly a guy just sort of shoves this nugget at you. Well, you remember it. It was a pretty stunning thing. You mean the purpose of the military is to start wars and change governments? It's not to sort of deter conflict? We're going to invade countries? And you know, my mind was spinning. And I put that aside. It was like a nugget that you hold on to. This country was taken over by a group of people with a policy coup. Wolfowitz and Cheney and Rumsfeld And you could name a half dozen other collaborators from the Project for a New American Century. They wanted us to destabilize the Middle East, turn it upside down, make it under our control.
It's not just because we're the superpower, it's because we are the hammer of God to judge all the nations, to smite all the nations. He's allowed us to be built up. We've turned from the Judeo-Christian values that America was supposedly founded on. I think it was a mask for what was really underneath with the whole Phoenix Rising thing. It's all about rebirthing Phoenix and rebirthing Atlantis. I mean, the District of Columbia, look into what Columbia means and what these people think about Columbia. And it's just unbelievable. When I saw this Reichstag burning, I just had to make this video because it ties it all together with The Dark Knight Rises, him saving the nuke, saving the people from the nuke, and then them worshiping him. I mean, this rising out of the ashes thing, this order out of chaos, it's a real thing, and they are going to do the chaos only when God allows them to. And that's it. That's the end of the story. This chaos is coming. And that's it. That's the end of the story. This chaos is coming. I mean, this is the newest episode of 30 Rock. And this is what one of the main characters says to the other main character. Just listen to this.
Oh my God. Jack's tanking NBC!
Around on God Cop Scene 24.
I know what you're doing, Jack. You are purposely tanking the network.
Good God, Lemon, what is it with you liberals and your conspiracy theories? I've got bad news for you. The CIA did not invent crack cocaine. The levees blew themselves up in New Orleans, and no one is trying to destroy NBC.
Hang on, did you cast yourself in this show?
What can I say? We saw hundreds of actors for God. Finally, the network executive said I should just play it.
You're the network executive.
Could we have a moment, please? Fine. You got me. I'm steering the Titanic into the iceberg.
Why? You trying to get fired?
I'm trying to get Hank to sell the network, and the only way to make him do that is to turn it into a money-losing embarrassment.
This explains everything. How long has this been going on? 7 years? 8?
6 weeks. I have an investor lined up who'll buy the network and keep me in charge. I can't tell you who it is, but his word is as good as the color consistency on one of his Easter eggs.
Adolf Paz? This is wrong, Jack.
You're right, Lemon. The clock is ticking for both of us, but if I pull this off, it's good for you, too. You've never worked at a properly managed company before. Think of it. Job stability, less stress, a commissary that has Taco Tuesdays again. After 7 years, you'll finally have a life.
And what if your plan doesn't work?
Of course, it's a risk, but sometimes your only choice is to blow everything up and build something better out of the rubble. Look at Sherman's March to the Sea. Or what my good friend Bain tried to do to Gotham. Join me, Lemon. Help me tank NBC.
Never. You're playing with people's lives here. Who do you think you are?
God, we're ready for you.
If there is one thing I have realized from being God, is that the more you know, the more you realize you do not know.
Why is he learning anything? He's supposed to be God.
Rebuild it out of the chaos. The chaos is coming. They're going to do the nukes. This nuclear attack is coming. So you need to get right with Jesus Christ, because no amount of beans or ammunition or guns or anything is going to save you. You can have a bunker underground. Even the governments have the bunkers underground. But God sees them. You can't hide from God. The wrath of the Lamb is inescapable. Revelation 6 talks about the kings and the mighty men hiding in the mountains of the earth. And the Hopi prophecy about the great white holy mountain in the center of America, which is the Denver Mountain. I think it's the Cheyenne Mountain. They say that they're going to come out of that mountain and start up a one world government. The Mayans say the same thing, that when in a moment of great distress, the new men of knowledge show up. And this is where the extraterrestrial thing comes into play. As much as we've been inundated with false flag terrorist attack stuff, with this new show Homeland, how we're trying to stop the next attack. It's almost like they're saying this next attack is coming. Even Hillary said very recently, talking about the war with Iran, she wishes that they would just attack us because we're the only nation that is capable of stopping him. I mean, that is just hubris at its best. Israel can defend itself because God is backing up Israel. And God is going to judge us for our arrogance, for our smugness, and for our sin. The sin and the murder that this country has produced, and how the whole world tries to mimic this country. You're not going to want to mimic this country when she is fallen. She is fallen in 1 hour. It's going to be horrible. Everyone's going to laugh at us and clap their hands when they see it happen. And then the one world government's going to just pop up out of nowhere. They've been laying the architecture and the plumb lines for this thing for a long time. That is what the pyramid represents on the back of the dollar bill. They've been building it, and when the capstone gets here, the system's already in place. The capstone just has to set down, and boom, ready to go. That's exactly what happened when Obama set up his super Congress. He had 13 Democrats, 13 Republicans, and he's at the top, writing all these laws and all these executive orders, the National Defense Authorization Act, the National Defense Resource Preparedness Act. Who knows what's going on behind the scenes? These are just what they're telling us they're passing. At the stroke of a pen, martial law is enacted and Christians are rounded up. And this all takes place, in my opinion, after the catching away, because the Christians that are awake and aware right now will be able to point this out. It'll be so devastating. So they need to get rid of, they are hoping for the rapture. They want it to happen. And they want the dead asleep Christians. They want them in the FEMA camps, and they want to re-educate them. If they're not able to be re-educated, then roll out the guillotines. So whatever's happening right now and you're watching this video, just know that Jesus Christ is the only way to save you from all of this. We can't Alex Jones our way out of this. We can't love our way out of this like the New Agers think. The only way is to rely on Jesus Christ and Father God's holy plan, the divine plan. It's the best plan. It's the best option. He's seen all the potential outcomes, and he's got the one that is the best outcome, and that's the one that's going to take place. So just have faith that whatever happens, it's for the best, and to seek God and to cry out to him. And he'll know when your heart is really soft, and he'll know when the stoniness and the hardness has gone away and that you're really seeking him and you're turning from your sins. He'll answer you every time. You just have to be genuine. You just have to be honest, and you have to be fervent. It says that the fervent prayers of a righteous man availeth much. So get righteous before the Lord by letting the blood of Jesus Christ wash over you. Let the Holy Spirit fill you. And let him just take care of you. Let him guide your every step. Literally, every step. All things. In all things, we must acknowledge the Lord. Before you vote, just write Jesus Christ on the ballot and submit it. You know, don't think that Mitt Romney is going to save this country or Barack Obama is going to save this country. We're going to the same place. Doesn't matter who's running it. Satan's behind it. All this phoenix thing, this rising phoenix at the Olympics.
The same closing ceremony as they showed the phoenix, they showed this octopus on the stage, which is, you know, the papal octopus, the Roman Empire. This is London and England specifically, with the octopus reaching out over all the major wings. This is just how the financial system is controlled. This is the Rothschild octopus, and it shows that it's reaching on all continents. And they even put it right here smack dab in the middle of the stage, like, hey, we're still here.
The woman in the basket, the fire offering at the Paralympics, the fireman king face at the Paralympics, their plans are out there, and they're busted, and they're upset that they've been busted, and so they want this to happen quick. So you better believe that as soon as God gives the okay, they're going to hit that launch button, they're going to blame it on the Chinese or the Russians or whatever they're going to do. Just know that the American government is aware that it's going to happen,
And the Antichrist is going to allow it to happen, because that is when their order comes out of the chaos, their new world order. It's here. It's here. It's just covertly operating. It's about to be overtly operating, and people are going to get what they want, a world without God. And it's not going to be pretty. It's going to be the worst time in the history of any age of man. That's what Jesus said. He said it's going to be the worst time. And he's going to have to even shorten the days, or else no one will survive. So that, to me, hints at a pole shift, some kind of a flyby from some heavy mass object that's going to alter the orbit and speed up the rotation and maybe go to like a 16-hour day. Whatever the math is going to be, just know that it's all God's plan. And don't believe the lie that the fallen angels that show up that save us from the nukes, if that's what they're going to do, don't worship them like they do in the Iron Giant. Don't worship them like they do in the Dark Knight. Don't believe it. They helped create it. They create the problem and they solve it. It's as simple as that. Create a problem and then have the solution. God bless you guys. Thank you for watching this. If you feel led to pass this around, please do. Wake people up. 9/11 was staged, and it was deeper than what people are selling from the InfoWars crowd and just the awareness movement. It's bigger than that. This is spiritual. They tore down the DNA markers. It wasn't just buildings. Yes, it cost thousands of lives, but it was more than that. It was them saying, hey, we did it. And they're going to blow up the Hoover Dam, and that's going to represent the birth of the new race, the race within a race. The tears are manifesting now, and soon they're going to be running the planet, and you're not going to want to be here. So make sure you got your ticket out of here, because the boat is leaving soon. The age of grace is about to slam shut. Get on board before it slams shut, because after that, it's going to be a lot more intense to get into the kingdom of God. But God has provided a safe exit, and that's going to be death. And you have to have the faith that as soon as you leave your body, you're going to be with Jesus. So that's going to be a blessing. You're going to want to get out of here, because it's about to get a lot worse. A lot worse than nukes. We're talking alien invasion. The locust army from Revelation and from Joel 2. They're showing up, and they're going to show up quick. Catch everyone off guard like a snare. Get out of here before the snare is set off.